Hello everyone, welcome to all in this lecture. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about deformation in bars. I will discuss what is strain, what are the type of strain, and I will also discuss what is the elastic modulus, what are the different modulus, elastic modulus, Young's modulus, shear modulus, right? Bulk modulus. So I will discuss in this lecture. Okay. So basically, what is a strain? First, I will discuss what is deformation. So whenever a force is applied on a body, it will tend to change body shape and size. Okay, so that is called deformation. Whenever you apply a pulling force, so you will, when we are applying a pulling force on a bar, so what you will see when they are applying the pulling force on the bars, you will see that length is going to get elongated. Length of bar has increased, and you will see there is the diameter of bar has decreased. So this is called deformation. When you apply a pushing force on the bar, what you will see? You will see the length of bar got decreased and diameter of bar got increased. So that is called deformation. A highly deformation you can see in case of rubber. When you will apply a pulling force on rubber, so it will show a highly deformed. It will show a large deformation. In the case of a solid rod, so you will find by applying a same force, it will show a very less or very small deformation or a small change in length. So it depends upon what type of material. Some material will show a large deformation on applying the same load. Some material will show small or very small deformation when you apply the force. So whatever you see in the real life, that every material or every body will show or there is some deformation, whether you can notice or not, right? For rubber you can guess, okay, so length is this much, you apply a pulling force, length is this much, okay, so you can see the deformation. But in the case of a solid one like this plane, I'm applying a pulling force, but I cannot see there is a deformation or not, because deformation is very less. So in every particle, right, like we are working on roof, suppose we are working on roof, so what will happen? Roof got also some deformation, but we cannot see that, right? We can suppose we are living in one building and someone is working on the roof, so there is deformation, but we cannot judge like what is the deformation or how much the deformation, but deformation is there. Next, in coming lecture, I will discuss without deformation, a body cannot resist some load or cannot apply some reaction. It cannot resist some load. So to get the resistance, body deformation of body is compulsory, right? So now you understand. Okay, you can understand that what is the deformation when you're applying a force on a body. Force means it can be a pulling force, it can be a pushing force, it can be a shear force, right? A different kind of force it can be. So when a force is applied to a body, it will give us a change in their shape and size. So that is called deformation, right? So deformation per unit length of material or per unit change of material, we can define diameter, like length, width, height. So that is called a strain. And a strain is produced by a stress. Without strain, stress cannot be produced. So both things are vice versa. Without a strain, strain cannot be produced. So there are different types of a strain, right? First is tensile strain. By name, you can get some idea like tensile means we are applying a tensile force. Tensile force means we are applying a pulling force. Suppose this is a iron rod, right? And we are applying a pulling force that is P. Okay, so initially length was, this is the initial length, initially length was L, and final it got increased by delta L, increased by delta L. So what is the strain from the definition? So deformation per unit length we can say, or original length. So what is the strain here? So change divided by original length. In words we can write change in, sorry, change in length divided by original length. So here initial length was L and it got increased by delta L by applying a pulling force. So we can write this is called tensile strain. Tensile strain. This is also we can call longitudinal strain. Longitudinal or lateral, this only show the direction. So when force is applying in this direction, so whatever the deformation or whatever the strain will develop, change in length will happen in this direction. So that is called longitudinal strain. So we can call this is longitudinal strain. So whatever, see, when strain we are calculating in this direction, vertical direction, like whatever, say this is the length and this is the, suppose this is diameter. So whatever the strain we are calculating, the delta D divided by D means change in diameter divided by original diameter. So this is called lateral strain. We can call it lateral strain. Lateral strain, right? Suppose this is a bar, force applying in this direction. So whatever the strain we are calculating is this direction, that is parallel to force, line of force. So that will give us the longitudinal direction, longitudinal strain, and generally we denote by delta L. Or when we are calculating the strain in this direction perpendicular to this line of force, so that is called lateral strain. Okay, second one is the compressive strain. So compressive means there is a strain caused by compressive force. Compressive force, or we can say pushing force. Right, so we can write here, calculate compressive strain. So change in length divided by L. So when we can write, we can use sign convention also. Suppose we have taken that elongated is positive. So when that compacted, the length is got it decreased, so that will come under the negative sign. So that we can assume like what sign convention we are taking during the calculation. Okay, this is delta L decrease. Delta L length is decreased by this pushing force, so that is called compressive strain. Next one is shear strain. See, when shear strain will develop when we'll apply a shear load, shear force, or we can say shear load, whatever. See, when at some plane or in a body when there is a no shear force, so shear strain will be 0. Means there is a no shear force, means there is a, if there is a no shear force, then shear strain will be 0, and there is a no shear strain also. Right? How we can measure? So like suppose this is a body which is fixed from the bottom, like P, L, M, N. Initially P, P, L, M, N, right? Initial. Okay. What happened when we apply a force F? When apply force F, right? Then what? Then it's deflected, but deformation has occurred, and that is P, L, M dash, N dash. Fine, right? So you can see there is an angle made between the first initial and the final. So that is denoted in this figure by phi. So that phi gives us the shear strength. So angle, we can calculate tan phi m m. By geometry we can write E by B and L, right? Or we can write n dash divided by E n. Generally we denote by E. We can write by E also. Some other deformation also we can get, like we can denote by this. So you can see in the figure, like this case, we are measuring a shear strain by measuring the angle. By measuring the angle. Generally we denote by ES, longitudinal EL or EC, whatever, and shear strain we denote by ES. Right. One more important thing we can discuss here, like a strain. We are saying a strain, that is length by length, like change in length divided by original length. Delta L divided by L means, see, the unit of delta L is meter or mm, whatever, and L is also. So both are in the same unit. So this quantity will be the unitless. So a strain has no units. It does not carry any units, like, so it will be unitless quantity. So we can measure the shear strain by measuring the angle. So there is a sign convention, like you can take the positive or negative. So when you are applying a shear force, then shear strain will develop, and that shear strain we can measure by this calculation of this angle, which is made by the previous and final. We can make angle with the original position. Okay, so that you can see in the picture, angle phi. So we can take tan phi geometry. In some cases, what we can do, let's see here this line. This line is very small. So what will happen? We can assume that an line is an arc of a circle, and this Pn is the radius. Pn is the radius. So by assuming that this will r, this is phi, so we can write this angle. What will come? R phi, right? Length. We can calculate. So for the calculation work, it will be easy, because this angle, this length, n dash or m dash is very small. So we can take this assumption for the calculation. Okay. Next one, that is volumetric strain. Volumetric strain, when we can define the volumetric strain, it is the ratio between the change in volume. We can write, we can denote volumetric strain by EV. Okay, volumetric strain is defined by delta V divided by. So now we can define, it is defined as the ratio between the change in volume and original volume of the body. like we have seen in the tensile strain, compressive strain, delta L by L. So here also this is the change in volume. This is original volume. See, in this topic, there are a lot of things we can study. Like uh, I'm going to discuss very little with, like now in this case, everywhere I'm assuming there is a uniform strain will develop throughout the body of throughout the material, right? But in actual case, it's not it's not going to happen. Like strain will not uniform everywhere. It will not uniform. So what we will do, we will take the integration. We will do the integration. We will take the limit. But for your syllabus point of view, according to your syllabus, that is not important, right? So I'm just making it simple. So you can take this, you can calculate like, for example, like this is the one, their length L, B, and the thickness is T. So volume we can measure L, B, T, right? Now, this is the initial volume. Now, some forces are applied on this, and then it becomes like L dash, B dash, and thickness is T dash. So volume will be, final volume will be L dash, B dash, T dash. So we can calculate change in volume, that is initial minus final. So L, B, T minus L dash, B dash, T dash. So we can calculate the strain. We can write volumetric strain. So that will be delta V divided by V, or we can write L, B, T minus L dash, B dash, T dash divided by L, B, T. So by knowing this dimension, we can calculate the volumetric strain, right? This is very important, I would say. See, what will happen when you will apply a force on a material and it will show some deformation, I told you. So when you will remove the force, so what will happen, that material will regain its original shape and size. Now just increase some force by some volume, by some amount, just increase by force, just increase a force by some amount. What you will see, by removal of force, again that body will regain its shape and size. So by doing that, what will happen, you will see at some limit, at some limit of force, when you apply some force on a body, so it will not regain, by removal of force, it will not regain its original shape and size. Means there you will get some permanent deformation or some residual deformation. So that is called, that limit is called elastic limit. That is called elastic limit. It means we can define the elastic limit. What is elastic limit? The stress of a body at which, when you increase the load or increase the force on a body, it will show some permanent deformation. And by removal, or we can say by removal of force, it will not regain its original shape and size. Are you getting my point? So that is called elastic limit. That is called elastic limit. So when strain which disappear with the removal of load are termed as, disappear means gayab ho jana, right? Means you cannot see any deformation, a permanent deformation after removal of load. So that is called elastic body. So every elastic body had some limitation. Every elastic body shows some elasticity property at some limit. What is that limit? After that limit, that is called elastic limit. So that limit is called elastic limit. Beyond that, this elastic limit, the body or the material will show some permanent deformation or residual deformation. Hence, it will not regain its original shape and size. So when it will show some permanent deformation beyond this elastic limit, so that is called plastic property. That is called plastic property. So body is said to be the plastic in the strain exists after the removal of external force. Right? You can see in the figure, like, okay, so this is strain and this is stress. Stress. What is happening? Suppose this is a rod, circular rod of length L naught. So initial length is L naught, right? Their diameter is D naught. Initial diameter is D naught. Okay. So when you're applying a pulling force or tensile force on this body, so you will find some delta L. You will find some increase in length. So we can calculate delta L and we can divide by original length, so we can get the strain, right? Okay, and here force is P, so we can calculate also stress. What is the stress? Force divided by area. What is the force P and what is, suppose this area is A, cross section area is A. So this is stress in figure, this is P by A, and here a strain is, this is delta L by L. Means vertical axis strain E by A and horizontal axis the strain, that is delta by, that is the ratio of delta L to the L, change in length to the original length. So what is happening, you can see in this figure, when you are increasing the load, so we are increasing the load means what? We are increasing the stress, right? So when you are increasing the stress, the strain is also increasing, and you can see the graph is, it is linear graph. It is linear. This graph is linear. So what will happen when you will remove the load? Suppose we reach to here and we remove the load. So body will come to the hair, means there is no strain you will get. There is no strain you will get after removing the load. But now increase beyond this point A. So you will find some slight change. You can see the curve change, like this is also linear, but you will see that there is different slope. Beyond the B, it will show some permanent strain. It will show some permanent deformation. So this is called elastic limit or yield point. This point is called elastic. So this we can say this is the elastic limit. This point we can call elastic limit. Beyond this, when you are applying a force beyond this limit, so what will happen? It will show some permanent deformation of the material. You can get the permanent deformation. Now again increase the, we are applying the force beyond this elastic limit. What will happen? It will show some, it will go to the C, then it will go a maximum, then it will come to the air, and we will find this, we will find at this point, that is D, that material it got fractured, it got cracked. When you will force apply at this point, so it will get cracked. So this is a general diagram for mild steel. This is graph for iron rod, we can say, right? Because for the mild steel, graph will be slightly will change, and for high yield steel bar also graph will change. So you can assume like this is the right iron rod. Okay. So see, so when within the elastic limit, like we are talking about within the elastic limit, or sometimes we can call within the proportional limit, because in some material you will find where A and B point, these 2 points will coincide. In some material you find this pointer at same point. This both that proportional limit and yield point will occur at the same point, and it will coincide. So within the elastic limit, you will find there is a linear variation between a strain and stress. So we can call by Hooke's law, stress proportional to a strain. It is very important. Just note down here within the elastic limit. We are working here within the elastic limit. Or we can say Hooke's law is valid within the elastic limit, right? So if we are talking about within the elastic limit, then a stress is proportional to a strain. Proportional sign means when you will remove the proportional sign, you will get a constant, or we can say that ratio of a stress to the strain will be constant. So this constant is called modulus. This constant is called elastic modulus. This constant is called elastic modulus. Now we have the idea about on figure. If the figure is given, how we can calculate the elastic modulus? So by taking this slope, what is that? You can write also, this is the slope of curve. किसका curve है ये? Slope of curve between a stress to the strain, or a strain we can write. So if figure is given, a curve is given between a stress and a strain, then slope of this curve within the elastic limit we can calculate. Suppose this length, suppose this length we have L and this we have H. So elastic modulus, in short I am representing E, we can write H by L. So the slope H by L, and this, so we can write theta, we can calculate. So this slope will give us the elastic modulus. Suppose this is theta, we can get this value. Okay, now we have seen the different types of a stress and different types of a strain, right? So for the different types of a stresses or strain, we can define different elastic modulus. So now one thing is clear. What is the elastic modulus? Elastic modulus, ratio of stress to the strain, a stress to the corresponding strain, we can say, right? Corresponding stress means the stress which is produced for how much amount for a strain, right? So that ratio is called elastic modulus. So there are different types of elastic modulus. First one is the Young's modulus. So Young's modulus is defined when, see, we have seen in the many times, like what are the types of tensile strain, right? Or tensile strain means when the pulling force applied, whatever the strain is developed, that is tensile strain. When compressing force is applied, whatever the strain developed, that is called compressive strain, right? So that two things we can count under the Young's modulus, right? So definition you can write it is the modulus. Sorry, it is the ratio. It is the ratio between tensile stress, compressive stress, we can say, or compressive tensile stress, compressive stress, and corresponding strain, or we can say tensile strain or compressive strain. The notation we can write E. Tensile strain we can denote by, like, we can write sigma stress sigma divided by E. Sigma divided by E. When we are using when the stresses are in tensile in nature, when the stresses are in tensile in nature, so we can write E is equal to, sorry, sigma T divided by T. In the case of tensile stress, when stresses are in compressive in nature, so we can write sigma C divided by C. Now, modulus of rigidity. When the ratio we are taking, we are working for the shear stress or shear strain, so that is called modulus of rigidity. So we can write here, what is the modulus of rigidity? Shear stress divided by shear strain. Generally, we denote by G. In some books, you will see by C or N, whatever. So generally, we denote by G. This one is very important. What is the bulk or volume modulus of elasticity? So that we can write. It is the ratio of normal stress to the volumetric strain. So in words, we can write bulk modulus. Generally, we denote by K. Ratio of to normal stress. Suppose this normal stress to the volumetric strain. Volumetric strain, we can write EV. EV, we can write. Or we can write, what is the volumetric strain? That is delta V divided by V. We can write like this. So normal stress, which is acting on each face of solid cube. Each face of solid cube. Right? So by just see the formula, what is that? And then by solving the numerical problem, you can get the idea. First problem we have a square steel 20 mm in section is to carry a axial load compressing of 100 kilonewton, which is given. Okay, so load is given. I'm writing here in case it is not visible, then you can see here 100 kilonewton. So that is compressive in nature, sorry, that is compressive in nature, like this. Sorry. Compressive in nature, our amount is 100 kilonewton. 100 kilonewton. Cross section is given. This cross section is given 20 mm cross 20 mm. Calculate the shortening in a length of 50 mm. Length of 50 mm. So length is also given, that is 50 mm. E is given. Elastic modulus of this material is given. Now we can calculate. So we have to calculate the shortening of length, means we have to calculate delta L. So for to calculate the delta A, first we have to calculate strain. To calculate the strain, we have to apply the formula, but that is between stress, that is E is given, so load is given. So first we can calculate stress. What is the stress? Load divided by area. So load is given, load divided by area. Load is given 100 kilonewton divided by area. That is, we can calculate 20 mm cross 20 mm. You can check the sign. You can use this unit. So we will get this value, that is 2500 kilonewton per meter square. So by calculating, we'll get this value. Now we have the stress, or we can denote by this sigma. So we have the value of sigma. Now we can use the formula. What is the elastic modulus? Elastic modulus we have, that is stress by strain. Stress we have sigma divided by strain. From this formula we can calculate strain. So that is sigma divided by E. Sigma we have calculated 2540 kilonewton per meter square divided by E. E is given 2.14 10 to the power 8 kilonewton per meter square. By solving, you will get the value of strain. Some value will get, and then strain we can write delta L by L. We have to calculate delta L. So we can write 2500 40 divided by 2.14 10 to the power 8 into what is length? Length is given 50 mm. Length is given 50 mm. So delta L that we are getting 0.0584 mm. So this is the change in length. So shortening in length is given, that is this is the shortening in length. Okay. So in this question, E was given, length is given, then first load is given. So once load is given, we can calculate the stress. Okay, so once the stress is given, then we can go for the strain by using this formula. Elastic modulus is equal to stress by strain. So once strain we will get, then we can find out what is the shortening in length. Next question we have a hollow cast iron cylinder 4 meter long. This length is given 4 meter. Okay, 300 diameter, thickness 300 diameter, it means this is given outer diameter. Thickness is given 50 mm. Thickness is given 50 mm. 50 mm. Subjected to a central load on the top when standing straight, the stress produced is 75,000 kilonewton per meter square. So there is a load is given. Some load is acting here. I'm assuming this compression. Some load is acting here. Okay, and that load is produced as stress given. Stress 75,000 kilonewton per meter square. Assume Young's modulus of iron is given. E is given, that is 1.5 10 to the power 8 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, then find out the magnitude of load. Find out first magnitude of load means P we have to calculate, and the second longitudinal strain produced. Second we have to calculate longitudinal strain, and third total decrease in length we have to calculate. Decrease in length means delta L, right? So let's go for calculation of first what we can calculate. So see, the stress is given here, stress is given, and cross section area is given. We can calculate, so we can calculate the force. So we can calculate first. See, outer diameter is given outer dia is given, that is 300 mm. Thickness is given, that is thickness of material is given, that is 50 mm. 50 mm. Now this is 50 mm. This is also 50 mm. Total is 300. So we can calculate the inner diameter. Inner diameter, that is 300 2 into 50 means 200 mm. Right? So if we have the inner diameter, that is we can denote by D. We have the outer diameter, we can denote by capital D. So we can find out the cross section area. Cross section area would be pi by 4. बड़े का एरिया निकालो, छोटे का माइनस करो. So pi by 4 t square minus pi by 4 into small d square. Can take pi by 4 common, so we'll get this t square minus t square. So by calculating, we'll get the some value. Maybe directly we can apply in the formula. So now force we can calculate. First one, force, that is force is stress into area. Stress we have 75,000 kilonewton per meter square into area. See, this is kilonewton per meter square, so we have to put this data in. So what is the area? Pi by 4, 300 square minus 200 square. See, this is in mm square. Just see the unit also. I'm writing here. So P will calculate in terms of kilonewton. So that we are getting 2945 kilonewton. Right? Now, come for the next one. What is the next? Longitudinal strain. Second for, you have to calculate longitudinal strain. So to calculate the strain, we have to apply this formula, that is E is equal to, elastic modulus is equal to stress divided by strain. Right? We can calculate a strain. Stress divided by E. Stress is given 75,000 kilonewton per meter square divided by E is given 1.5 10 to the power 8 kilonewton per meter square. We'll calculate and we'll get the value, that is 0.0005. What will be the value of this strain? Nothing, because the strain has a unitless quantity. Now come for the C. Total decrease in length. So strain we have calculated in the second part, that is delta L divided by L. Right? So we can write delta L is equal to a strain into L. Strain we have 0.0005. Strain we have 0.005 into, what is the total length? 4 meter. So 4 meter. So I'm writing 4. I'm converting in terms of mm. So we will get in terms of mm 2 mm. 2 mm means this length of hollow cast iron cylinder will get decreased by 2 mm. Right? So these are the very simple formula that I'm using here to calculate, to solve all this problem. This is very important one, right? Okay, so question number 3. The following observations were made during the tensile test on a mild steel specimen 40 mm. See, first note down what are the data is given in question long. So better what are the data are given, just write down. So पहले क्या दिया है देखो, The following observations were made during a tensile test on a mild steel specimen with 40 mm diameter. So initially 40 diameter was DI, initial diameter 40 mm. And length, so length is also given, initial length that is 200 mm. Elongation with 40 kilonewton load within the elastic limit of proportionality is itna. So load is given, P is given, kahan pe limit, that is 40 kilonewton, and at this point the elongation is given, means delta L is given at limit, that is 0.0340 mm. Now yield load is given, right, and maximum load is given. See, in this condition, yield load is given is whatever the load is given at this point, so that is called load at yield. And whatever the load is, maximum load means here fracture, right? It got fractured, so this is the maximum load, right? So we have to determine Young's modulus, means E. Second, yield point stress, means sigma we have to calculate at yield point, sigma y. Ultimate stress we have to calculate sigma u, means ultimate stress, and percentage elongation. Okay, so we are going to solve this. देखो, जब भी कोई क्वेश्चन देखो ऑलवेज एक ध्यान रखो कि क्या निकालना है, क्या गिवन है ना, ट्राई टू फाइंड सम रिलेशन बिटवीन देम. क्या गिवन है, क्या फाइंड आउट करना है. So first we have to calculate E. To calculate the E, what is the E? E is the ratio of stress to the strain, right? Or within the elastic limit, So if we want to calculate E, so we have to take the stress divided by strain. A stress, so we have data is given, like stress we can calculate load divided by area, so we'll get the stress, and delta L divided by total L will get the strain. Are you getting my point? So what are the load is given at yield point? Load is given 40 kilonewton. 40 kilonewton. I am converting in Newton. Divide by area. What is the area? Area we can calculate because data is given. Diameter is given, so pi by 4 into 40 mm square, right? Delta L is given at this point, so 0.034 mm, divide by total length is given 200 meter long, 200 mm long, 200. So this data is given mm. Okay, this will cancel out. This is in Newton and this is in mm. So final result will come. So by calculation, you will get stress. You will get this value, and then you will get this. I'm writing directly. So that is 2.09 10 to the power 8 kilonewton per meter square. You can change the dimension here. So this data is given kilonewton per meter square. Okay, we have calculated in kilonewton per meter square. 2.09 10 to the power 8, right? See, data was given for this point. Load was given, delta A was given, area we have, and length we have. So we can calculate the stress and by using this load, and we can calculate the strain by using this change in length. Okay, so if we are calculating, if the data are given at this point, and we are calculating, so this we can calculate the E, right? If data is given beyond that, beyond the elastic limit, so we cannot use to calculate the elastic modulus, right? But for this data, we can calculate the elastic modulus because you will see the each constant from initial position to elastic limit, or we can say initial position to yield stress or yield point. Now, let's go to calculate second one that we have calculated yield point stress that we already calculated sigma y yield point stress. So that is load by area. Load is given 40. Sorry, load is given 161 10 to the power 3 Newton, and divided by area. Area we have calculated already, pi by 4 into 40 mm whole square. So this will come 12.8 10 to the power 4 kilonewton. See, don't confuse with this 40 kilonewton and this 40 kilonewton. See, this at this point load, that is P is given 161 kilonewton. At somewhere here within the elastic, somewhere here, load is given 40 kilonewton, and at this load delta is given. Okay, and maximum load is also given. So at this point of time, maximum load is given. Sorry, not this point, this point. This is the maximum one, maximum load, maximum stress. So this at this point load is given 242 kilonewton, right? So if we are going to calculate a stress at this point, so we will use the load at this point. So we have calculated sigma u at this point. So P divided by A. What is the P? 161 Newton, kilonewton. So we have calculated this value. Now, third one. Calculate ultimate stress, means a stress we have to calculate at this point. So this is called sigma u. Generally we denote by sigma u. Sigma u means ultimate stress. So that is also load divided area. What is the load here? Load is given, that is 242 kilonewton divided by area, that is pi by 4 into 40 mm square. You will get this value 19.2 into 10 to the power 4 kilonewton per meter. Right? One more thing we have to calculate. 4 percentage elongation. Percentage elongation. So we have to calculate what is the change in length divided by original length. So original length, we can write initial length. So what is the final length? Final length and initial length. So that is called change in length divided by original length into 100. So this will give us the percentage elongation. See, it is given length specimen at fracture. This is the point of fracture. So length is up to this point. Length is given. This is the final length. This length is given 249 mm. Final length is given. At this length, that material got fractured. So 249 minus this initial length was 200. 200 divided by 200 into 100. So 49 divided by 200 into 100, we'll get some value. So by calculation, we will get 24.5%. 24.5%. Okay. A member is given, that is L, M, and P. Is subjected to the point load as shown in the figure. Calculate force P necessary for equilibrium condition. Means we have to assume that this body is in equilibrium condition. So what will be the P? Then next, calculate total elongation of the bar. Okay, where G is given. Where G is given, right? In this case, here not G, it will be E. Young's modulus is given, right? E. Okay, so I'm assuming this body is in equilibrium condition. So member L, M, and P is in equilibrium condition. Equilibrium. Member L, M, and P is equilibrium condition. So we can apply this all right side forces is positive. I'm taking the sign convention, so I can write like this. So according to my sign convention, so we can write minus 50 plus P minus 500 plus 200 equal to 0. So from there we can get P equal to 500 plus 550 minus 200, we will get 350 kilonewton. Right? So P we got 350 kilonewton. Now total elongation of bar. So for single bar like this, let me write some formula. So this length is L, this pulling force is P, or pushing force, whatever. So P A, cross section area is A. So what we can write? A stress we can write. Let me write in notation. Sigma we can write P by L, right? Strain we can write delta L by L, right? Now we can calculate E, that is stress by strain. Strain also we can write E, sigma by, put the value P divided by A, delta L divided by L. So it's equal to E. From here we can write delta L is equal to P L divided by E A. So for every bar, like you want to calculate a change in length, so you need to apply this formula where the P is the force. It can be pulling force, pushing force, length. A is length, E is the Young's modulus, and A is the cross section area. PL divided by EA. So we'll use this formula. So first, just draw the free body diagram for each section, because you can say in this body that cross section is changing. Cross section is changing. So P is equal to 350 kilonewton. So for this segment, length is given, force is 50. That is pulling force. Now draw a free body diagram for this section. Middle one. So for the middle one, what are the total force are acting here? 350 and 50 in this case. So, and draw the field here. Okay, so this is again pulling, that is 200. This is 200 kilonewton. What will be this one? So at this point 500, 200. So it will go compression by 300. It will go by compression by 300. So now we have the, for each cases we have the, suppose this is P1, this is P2, this is P3, right? So we can calculate for the bar 1. I'm writing in notation like delta 1. For I'm using this 1, this is 2, this is 3. So I'm calculating for 1. There is a pulling force applied, so it will be positive because it will elongate. Okay, so we can write what is the formula? PL divided by E. P, what is the force? That is 50 kilonewton into L. What is the length? 100 mm divided by E. E is given. This is E, not G. Okay, so E is given 200, 110 into G and 10 to the power 9. G matlab 10 to the power 9 divided by meter square into a cross section area that is given 600. We just convert this unit kilonewton mm gn by this per meter square. So finally we'll get the change in length in terms of meter that I'm getting here, 3.97 into 10 to the power minus 4 meter. This is increased. Now I'm going to calculate for second one, changing the second one, middle one, right? So we can calculate force. In this case, P is changed. They're like 300 kilonewton into length, that is 1000 mm. Then you can write 210 Gn. Then cross section area is given for middle one, that is 2400. In terms of meter, you will get this value 5.954 meter. It got decreased because there is a pushing force. Now change in length for the third section. That is force is given 200 into cross section is given 1200. In this case, okay, 12. No, length is given 600. Sorry, length is given 600. Then 210 into then cross section is given 1200. Just calculate this value and then you will get 4.76 10 to the power minus 4 in terms of meter, right? So this is also applying pulling force, it will increase. So you can calculate total elongation of bar. So total we can calculate, total means total delta we can calculate, total elongation that is delta 1 minus delta L2 plus delta L3. Okay, this is increase, this is decrease, this is increase. Okay, so we will get the final one, that is 2.78 10 to the power minus 4 meter, or you can write also in terms of mm, 0.278 mm. So one main thing you can remember in this case, when elongation of a bar, that is a foam lies, where P is the force, L is the length of material or a bar, A is the cross section of bar, A is the elastic modulus. These are the reference that I've taken. Thank you.